I always knew something was wrong, but I pretended I didn't see it. With each lost cycle, each negative test, his silence hurt more than any diagnosis. He didn't yell, he didn't argue. But the way he avoided looking at me, how he avoided touching me after the appointments, it said everything. When I started the fertility tests, I went alone. He said I didn't need that everything was fine. "It will work," he repeated. But he didn't look me in the eye. I did everything. Diet change, hormones, acupuncture, therapies. And each failure made me feel less like a woman. The day I received the diagnosis, functional infertility, I cried alone in the car. It wasn't definitive. The doctors said there was hope. But I knew he didn't want to wait. At night, I sat with him in the living room. I spoke softly. "The treatment might work. I just need time. And you?" He didn't answer. He grabbed the remote and pretended to look for a movie. Days later, he came home early. Silent as always. But the atmosphere was different. Cold. He sat at the edge of the bed and said, "I want to be a father. For real. With you, this will never happen." I froze. His words cut through me like shards of glass. He didn't cry. He didn't apologize. He just packed his bag and left. Like someone going to buy bread. And I stayed there. With an empty womb. And a shattered heart. A week later, I saw the photo. He was smiling. Holding a woman I had never seen before. Caption read, "Our miracle is on the way." She was pregnant. And I, officially, was the disposable woman in the story. I wish I could say that I overcame it with dignity. That I moved on, reinvented myself like in the movies. But no. I collapsed. Silently. Started slowly. First, I stopped eating properly. Then I started skipping work. I said it was a migraine, exhaustion, a cold. The truth? I just didn't want to get out of bed. I'd wake up and lie there staring at the ceiling for hours. And when I finally got up, it was to see if he had posted anything new. It was masochism. I knew that. But I couldn't stop. Each photo of that pregnancy killed me a little more. They smiled. They had a gender reveal party, took pictures with their hands on her belly, counted the days until the miracle arrived. And I thought, why did she succeed and I didn't? I tortured myself comparing everything. She was younger. Thinner. She had a sparkle in her eyes. A sparkle that I lost between one failed attempt and another to get pregnant. I started to believe that the problem wasn't just in my womb. It was in me as a whole. That I was insufficient. Uninteresting. He never said this with words. But his choice screamed it. I stopped looking at myself in the mirror. I stopped taking care of my hair. Of my house. That house, every corner still smelled like him. The shirts he left in the closet, the books on the shelf, the pillows that held the shape of his body. One night, I tried to throw it all away. I made a pile on the floor. But in the middle of it, I sat down and cried for hours, hugging a blue shirt he wore on Sundays. I thought that was rock bottom. But rock bottom really came the day I saw the ultrasound of the baby on social media. He was holding the image and smiling like he had never smiled with me. He wrote, "I never imagined I could love someone this much before even meeting them." And I thought, he never said that about me. That night, I went to the kitchen with the absurd idea of cutting my wrist. Not to die. But to feel something. I didn't do it. 'Cause deep down, a part of me still wanted to survive. Still wanted to understand why. And then, on some random Saturday, while I was lying on the couch in the same hoodie I'd been wearing for 3 days, my phone vibrated. A message. Unknown number. "Hi. I'm your ex-husband's new wife. Can we talk?" My heart raced. I thought it was a provocation, some kind of torture. I stared at that message for hours. I didn't reply immediately. The next day, another message. "Sorry to reach out like this. I just need to understand something about him. And I think you can help me." Something in that sentence caught me. I replied, "Go ahead." And she spoke. At length. She told me that, during her pregnancy, she discovered a huge lie. That the genetic tests from the prenatal exams didn't match. That she questioned the hospital. And only then did she find out that the sperm used for the artificial insemination wasn't his. Yes, artificial insemination. He had told her that the baby was natural, that they'd been lucky, that she was fertile and he was too. But it was all a lie. He was sterile. He had been trying to hide it again. She found out that he had known about his infertility before our marriage. And even so, during all those years, he let me believe that the problem was mine. I remembered when he would say things like, "Maybe your body is trying to tell you something. Sometimes some women aren't meant to be mothers, and that's okay." I absorbed it all. I carried guilt that wasn't mine. I hated myself for years. And now, for the first time, someone was telling me the truth. It wasn't me. It never was. She ended the message with a phrase that shattered me. "Sorry. I know he destroyed you. Now he's doing the same to me." And then, as if the universe had been waiting for this moment, he reappeared. He sent me a simple message. "Can I see you?" The man who had abandoned me for being infertile now knew that the problem had always been with him. And he wanted to see me. I didn't reply. But something inside me started to change. For the first time in a long time, I felt anger. Not at her. Not at myself. At him. And that anger gave me a strange strength. The strength to get up. To take a shower. To look in the mirror and see a woman who deserved more. Not a child. Not a husband. But respect. And peace. What kept me going until that moment was a single question. Why? Why did he do that to me? Why did he abandon me so coldly? Why did he never accept the possibility that the problem might not have been with me? And now to know that he knew all along, that he lied not only to me but to her as well. It was like watching an entire castle crumble under its own foundation. In the days following the message from his new wife, I dove into everything. I went back to looking at our old exams, messages, conversations. I found a folder at the bottom of a drawer. Inside were papers from the first years of trying. One of them was his, a referral for a sperm test, dated 3 years before our separation. He never told me he had done it, but now it made sense. He discovered there that he was sterile. And he chose to blame me, to make me doubt my own fertility and my worth as a woman, rather than face the truth. Out of cowardice. Out of ego. Out of pure fear of looking less of a man. And now, with the castle of lies collapsed, he had the audacity to come back. First, it was simple messages. "I've been thinking a lot about you. I wish I could go back in time. Life has shown me who really loved me." I read them and didn't respond. But I confess, part of me wanted to scream. I wanted to hear his voice. I wanted to ask how he had the courage. Then he called. For the first time in over a year, I heard his voice. "Hi, it's me." "I know." Silence. He swallowed hard. "I don't deserve it, but I need to talk to you. Apologize. Explain." "Explain what?" "That you left me because I couldn't give you a child? When you already knew you couldn't give a child to anyone?" He stayed silent. "She told you." "Yes. She told me everything, including that you lied to both of us, that you used donor sperm, that you faked a perfect life at the cost of our suffering." He cried. For the first time, I heard him cry without guilt. I was scared. Scared of being a failure. Scared of losing you. Scared of what people would think of me. And you preferred to make me believe the failure was mine. I was a coward. Yes, you were. The conversation didn't last long. He told me he regretted it, that he thought of me every day, that everything he built after me had crumbled. He said that now he understood what he had lost, and that if I still felt anything, he wanted to try again. He said he was willing to adopt, to undergo treatment, to be the man I needed him to be back then. I hung up without responding. But it gnawed at me. It was like he had reopened a wound that I had barely started to heal. And worse, now he was asking me to go back to the past just when I was finally starting to build a future. 'Cause there was someone new in my life. A man who appeared without promising anything. Who didn't ask if I wanted children, but if I wanted to laugh again. A man who knew how to respect my silences. who didn't see me as a broken machine, who didn't look at me with pity nor expectation. He looked at me with affection, and that healed me. I started going out more. I went back to work. I did therapy. And for the first time in years, I decided to do something for myself, adopt. Not because I needed to fill a void, but because, finally, my heart was full enough to give love to another human being without expecting anything in return. I entered the process of adopting solo. Slow, bureaucratic, emotionally exhausting, but necessary. And 1 month before finalizing the adoption, my phone rang again. It was him. "I'm in town. Can we talk?" "Please." I agreed. I met him at a cafe. He was thinner, worn out. The look that once made me tremble now made me feel pity. He tried to smile. I just waited. "I ruined everything." "I know. That woman kicked me out of the house. Said she never wants to see me again." "I know that too." And I realized everything. How amazing you were. Strong. Generous. How much of an idiot I was. He looked at me with teary eyes. "Give me a chance. Just one. I swear I'd do everything differently now." I took a deep breath. I'm also doing everything differently. And you know what's the most incredible thing? He was waiting for a positive sign, for hope. "I'm about to become a mother." His face froze. "You got pregnant?" I smiled. "No. I'm adopting. A little girl. And she will call me Mom. And that's enough." He started to cry. "And the man who helped you with that? Is he better than me?" "Much. 'Cause he never tried to fix me. He just loved me the way I am. Do you forgive me?" I thought. Yes. But my forgiveness doesn't mean a return. It means you won't live in my head anymore. Not in my past. I stood up, grabbed my purse, and left. And that night, for the first time in a long time, I slept deeply. I was no longer the broken woman he left. I was the whole woman he lost. And deep in my chest, an old desire started to pulse again, to be a mother. Not for him. Not for appearances. But for me. For everything I was prevented from living. And for everything I could still build. That's how, a few months later, with a mix of nervousness and hope, I entered a simple room with walls covered by children's drawings. And there, sitting in a corner with attentive and distrustful eyes, was she, Clara. Small, fragile, and at the same time familiar. As if life was telling me, "It's now. You're ready." The first night with Clara at home was silent. Not that peaceful, calming silence, but a cautious one, as if we were both stepping on unfamiliar ground, unsure whether it would give way or hold our weight. She slept in her own room. Or tried to. She woke up 3 times. Nightmares. The 3rd time, she didn't say a word. She just stood at my bedroom door, her eyes wide and scared. I got up without hesitation and picked her up. We sat on the living room armchair, wrapped in a blanket, and stayed there until the sun came up. I didn't say everything would be okay. I didn't promise the pain would never return. I was just present. I just held her. And in that embrace, for the first time, I felt that maybe I really could be a mother. Not the way I had imagined, but in the way life offered me, with truth, patience, and a whole lot of love. Clara was guarded, introspective. She had the gaze of an adult in the body of a child. And I understood, she carried her own scars even at such a young age. Little by little, with the help of psychologists and my constant presence, we began to connect. I learned to respect her timing. And she slowly began to test my love. She threw tantrums, pushed me away, ignored me. But it was as if she were silently asking, "Are you going to leave me too?" And I didn't leave. I held her. I waited. I stayed. One day, after a hard fight, she cried and asked, "Are you going to give me back?" I knelt down, my eyes also full of tears. "You're not something that gets returned. You're my daughter. And daughters are loved forever." She hugged me tightly. And in that embrace, something new was born, trust. We started creating small traditions, pancakes on Sundays, dancing in the living room, bedtime reading. She loved books. So did I. I started writing again. Stories for her. Stories about strong girls, brave mothers, and families built on love, not blood. She smiled when she listened. Sometimes she'd fall asleep halfway through, but always with her head on my lap. School, Clara blossomed. She stopped hitting classmates, started playing. One day a teacher called me in, emotional. Clara drew her family today. Herself, you, and a giant sun above. She said that sun is the love you share. I cried. I cried for everything Clara was healing without even knowing. 'Cause through her I reconnected with myself. I began to see myself as whole again. I started believing I deserved to be loved, cared for, and respected. My relationship with the man who supported me through the adoption grew slowly. He never tried to be a father or a savior. He simply walked beside me. One day, Claire asked if he was our friend. Yes, our friend. Can he sleep over one day? I laughed. I think so. That was the sign. She accepted him too. Later, when we were alone, he told me, "You're the strongest woman I've ever known. And I'm here to see you bloom, not to prune you." I didn't know whether to cry or kiss him. I did both. And in that moment, I understood that true love doesn't require you to shrink. Grows with you. A few weeks later, we were at the park. Clara was running with a colorful balloon, laughing out loud. An elderly lady came up and said, "Is she your granddaughter?" I laughed. "No, my daughter." She looked surprised. "She doesn't look like you." "Not in the face, but in the heart we're identical." The woman smiled, a little awkwardly. And I realized there was no pain there. No shame. I felt whole. Some time later, Mother's Day came. Clara made me a colorful card. In it, she wrote with crooked handwriting, "Mommy, you chose me. I choose to love you every day." I kept that as the greatest gift of my life. 'Cause that's when I understood. I wasn't rejected by life. I was redirected. And if I had had that biological child, maybe Clara would never have come into my life. And that I wouldn't trade for anything. Today, when I look back, I see everything with different eyes. Yes, Paolo was part of my pain. But he's the one who unintentionally pushed me into the greatest journey of my life, becoming who I truly am. And this woman I am now, he never would have deserved her. But Clara did. She deserved me whole. And I also deserved myself like this, free, strong, and with a heart that didn't break. It expanded. And if I'm a mother today, it's because I chose to love above all else. Even when everything told me I couldn't. Even when they said I wasn't enough. Because in the end, I didn't need permission. I just needed courage.